Hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, let me see who was here first. Okay, Lydia Washington. And then Compton Caligal, Joyce Anderson, and a bunch of other people. All right, thank you very much. And as usual, I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Yes, no more than an hour. Okay, so as you know, there's this thing about the charity. I said to myself, do I? I thought we kind of covered it yesterday, but there's been, I guess, a development or two. So we'll go over that. And also, there was some concerns about a fellow content creator and their feelings or their feelings about the Sussexes. And I did look into that. And it's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. What else? What was the title of this video? I forgot what I was going to talk about. Hey, Big Mama, thank you so much for being here. Marie Fabian, hello, welcome. Thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Church Nelly is here. Brenda Gray. Sheila Dewey. Martine. Let me see, who else is here? Peggy McKinnon. Ann Gromley, thank you for being here. Mad World. You know, that was one of my favorite movies. It's a mad world. Which I never understood. Why is it mad world and not just mad world? I guess the rhythm is better. It's a mad world. Gives you a chance to take a short breath. It's a great movie. Loads of comedians in that film. Everybody who was anybody at the time wanted to be a part of that movie. Filmed in Southern California. Check it out if you get a chance to. It's a silly comedy, but don't we need that right now? Of course, I think my favorite character in the whole movie had to be Ethel Merman. She was hilarious. Okay. Anybody else here seen that movie? It's a mad world. No? Yeah, okay. All right. Well, anyway, it is Good Friday. Let's get on with it, shall we? Let's wish a happy 84th birthday to the President of Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, of course, Michael D. Higgins. Happy 84th birthday. I like him. And he showed a great deal of hospitality to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex when they went over there for a visit. What an enchanting day. I instantly had good feelings for him and his wife, the First Lady, and of course, their canines, one of which passed away some time ago, but seemed like a really great day. And of course, the dogs took to Meghan as though they were already acquainted, but Meghan has that appeal. As Harry said about Meghan and the Queen's corgis. Oh, Herbie Hancock. All right. Musician Herbie Hancock. Very cool. Did you guys know that Dick Van Dyke is 99 years old? I don't know when his birthday is, but Actor Dick Van Dyke will be 100 years old. Wow. He's been the last surviving actor from the Dick Van Dyke Show. Well, maybe Richie, the kid that played his son, Richie, maybe he's still alive. But wow, can you stand it? Can you believe it? 99 years old. He's seen a lot. Okay. And well, this world is made up of a tapestry of different flags, different countries. You know, nowadays borders seem to matter more than ever before, but there was a time when borders were not so important. It was communities, tribes, and so on. But nowadays, everything is defined by the border, and instantly people become cheerleaders for countries that are not even that old, actually. But oh well, you know what they say: home is home, right? But yeah, just a little thought for this Friday. Oh, speaking of a thought for this Friday, you guys. Oh, it happened again. It happened again. I was listening to X, formerly known as Twitter, and some of those people from the election season last year were present. If you were on X earlier, then you know. I don't recommend X because it can compromise your mental health. I kid you not. Um, well, let me give you a case in point. Haven't you heard Petal say that she's no longer on X? There's a reason for that. Um, I don't have enough sense to be upset. I really don't. I don't have enough sense to be upset. Um, I'm just kidding. I'm just as fallible as anyone else, but I don't know. It is a reference for me, so I do require that among other things for work. But the other part of it is that I don't know. I would say that because I was a bit of a nerd that was into like the news even when I was very young. It was like a window to my world. And so I'm just kind of used to it. I have I'm not invincible, of course, but I am just kind of used to news, good, bad, or whatever the case may be. I'm just kind of used to it. So I won't say it doesn't have an effect on me, but um, I've learned to cope with it. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just kind of second nature for me. Hello, Paulette Claude. Thank you for being here. Marjorie Austin, Joseph Bernal. Thank you for being here. Okay. Catherine Bryant, Veronica Quick. Joy Moore, thank you for being here. Okay. And did I say hello to Beverly McCaskill? Okay, let's keep it moving then. It's Good Friday. It's Good Friday. Oh, do I have a story about Good Friday? Um, I wasn't always so good on Good Friday, but that's one of the things that it's. I have memories from Good Friday. You know, it's a night to go out and hit the clubs, right? That's how pious I am. I would actually hit the nightclubs on any given Good Friday. But yeah, it it's a very religious season for so many of us, and even though my church moved a couple of years ago, and I haven't been quite able to find out where they relocated to. If I can track them down, I guess I'll be there Sunday. If I can track them down. Um, and I'm not saying that my congregation is in the witness protection program or anything like that, but I'll find them. Can't hide from me forever. Um, yeah, I think it's either one of those what do you call it? A clothing haberdashery or is it a liquor store? I can't remember. There's something is in this place. Something, but it could be maybe they haven't moved and I just can't remember where they are. How long has it been? Okay. All right. No more avoiding the topic. Let's get to it. So, according to the New York Post, among others, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, why did they put Meghan's name first? Okay. Pulled funding from Muslim charity over leaders' anti Israel writing. Okay. We kind of touched upon this yesterday. And by the way, I pixelated the image there because some may have found it offensive, perhaps, but I pixelated it. It was an image that combined, I guess you could say, the Third Reich and a particular nation. You can almost make it out, I'm sure, but I pixelated it just in case it offended someone. Um, there's a reason for everything, but we know that the Sussexes still retain their title, Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That is true. And of course, Archie and Lily, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, they are Prince and Princess of the realm. One thing that we've learned over the past few years, if we may have actually learned it, um, from the beginning, that we may have been aware of this even as a child. Royals are not political. Royals are not political. Yes, they may actually encounter politicians. They may encounter people that have been affected by the politics of the day, but officially, they are not in politics. They don't expect that from the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, and the Queen, of course, even during Brexit, when so many people were trying to get some type of, I guess, response, some type of position from the Queen, she, of course, refused. And then, of course, there was that time when the Queen addressed Parliament wearing a blue suit. And she was wearing a blue hat that had some very, shall we say, skillfully arranged. Oh, I think they were yellow flowers. Now, some people said that resembled the flag of the European Union. So, is the Queen trying to tell us, do not Brexit? Do not Brexit. Well, of course, the Queen, like a lot of people her age at the time, and when I say the Queen, God knows you all know I'm not talking about Camilla. The Queen, the Queen, as she was known by most of the world, the Queen, um, she may have had a position, but one of the things people valued about the Queen is that you would never know what her position was. There was always these ambiguities based upon her wardrobe or who she's toasting or whatever the case may be. But officially, the queen just does not take sides. And of course, all of that is past tense. Charles, who some time ago wrote letters, scathing letters from what I hear, to people in ministries and politicians with his ideas about everything from, oh, I don't know, plastic, uh, the use of plastic, or perhaps I think he compared some of the architecture of London as a unfortunate carbuncle on the face of the city or something to that effect. And people were like, you know what? Stay out of it. Stay out of it. You're the future king, not a zoning officer. So until you become part of the local council, it is none of your business. So it's a very, very touchy situation. Now, all of that being said, this charity is one of a dozen charities that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex support. And this one in particular, women who have come from Afghanistan. Now, the woman that you see in the photo there, she is the one who wrote an op-ed piece, and she made certain demands about the way she wanted to reshape the Middle East, Palestine in particular. And I'm going to just go out on the limb and say, I think most of us support the Palestinians. Most of us. There may be a few people lingering who do not, for whatever reason. To me, it's like a cut and dry issue. It is a humanitarian crisis. And from all outward appearances, it looks like a genocide. And if it looks like a genocide, it probably is. It probably is. But I'm not a royal. I'm not a royal. It's not without risk saying these things, but I'm not a royal. If you're married into that family, if you're born into that family, you just do not have a right to say these things. You don't. Marrying into that family, you pretty much have to follow the same rules. It doesn't mean that other members of the family won't break the rules, but you don't break the rules just because someone else did. So being apolitical, that would be more stressful for some compared to others, but it is the safest thing to do. It is the safest thing to do. And by writing an op-ed, that woman took a position which, had they continued financial support, they would have been taking a position. The Sussexes have fed so many. The Sussexes have clothed so many. There's so many ways that they have helped people. And one of a dozen charities that are Muslim-based charities. So we just lost one. They lost the support of the Sussexes. It doesn't mean the end of the charity. But you have to know that before you write an op-ed like that, that you run the risk of losing some people. It is a volatile time in this country right now. It is a very, very tough time to be in the mainstream media, let alone social media. It's a very tough time. And as I said last night, are you allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater? Well, according to the law, it's it's not permitted. It is not the freedom of speech that you want to challenge. And that's just a very unfortunate truth, an inconvenient truth. What else did I say yesterday? I mentioned the idea that, what is it? Noblesse oblige. Because someone is rich, you expect them to pick up the check. So trust me, there's no shortage of people out there who would love to use the Sussex's popularity to solve all of life's problems. The problem with that is, after a while, they won't be so popular. They won't be so popular. To me, it's a matter of security for them that they walk a fine line, and I don't want them to deviate for anything. I want them to keep those babies safe. I want them to generate enough generational wealth that they can keep their family safe for the next several generations. That is paramount, is the safety of their family, the safety of themselves and their family. That comes first in my book. And because of that, I voted the way I voted in the last election. Despite what I felt about what was happening in Palestine, I had to vote in a way that would preserve this union, that would preserve this country. Some people didn't feel that way. And now look at where we are. Now look at where we are. And some of those same voices that I heard around election time last year, the ones that was trying to belittle and berate us on a daily basis. Who is us? Mostly African American voters. You all are selfish. You only think about yourselves. You're not thinking about the rest of the world. Turns out we were. Yes, we were thinking about ourselves, and we were thinking about the rest of the world. Right now, there's someone in the White House that has, well, I don't even need the list of things that I don't know that I could. I don't even think I could. How much time do you have? How much time do you have? Every day, things have gotten progressively worse. Whether it's home or abroad, things have gotten progressively worse. You have a whole nation of people in the United Kingdom that are waiting to figure out, is there a 10% tariff, or will he change his mind and make it 50%? You don't know, do you? You don't know. So it's kind of like being held hostage. Canada, China, they decided, you know what? We ain't got time to be nice. We ain't got time to be nice. We ain't got time to sit here and wait and wonder. So they decided to take the bull by the horn. But the UK is depending on that special relationship. I'd rather keep the Sussexes as far away from the likes of the person in the White House, away from these political posturings. I'd rather they stay as far away from it as possible. There was a time when Meghan was more outspoken, but now she has her position in that family. And yes, that does matter because her husband matters, because her children matters. So she has that to consider. But there's so many other ways that you can help people. So maybe you lose this agency or that charity along the way, but there's so many others that would be glad to accept whatever assistance is available. And we're not talking millions of dollars. We're not even talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the op ed took a position, and that position is what cost that particular donation or financial support. And so here we are. The article says Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have pulled the $55,700 in funding pledge to the Muslim charity over its leader's anti Israel statement, according to sources. And just so you know, just to make things sound as salacious as possible, they are using incendiary language like the Muslim charity. The pair had offered support to the Milwaukee based Muslim Women's Coalition through their Archwell charity, but its founder, Janan, I think it's Najib, said they have since withdrawn over articles she authored in two local publications. In a February 2024 opinion piece for the Wisconsin Muslim Journal, Najib wrote, Israel's 75-year occupation of Palestine and the genocide in Gaza are a grave injustice. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that won't disagree with her. We demand a permanent ceasefire and an end to arming the apartheid state of Israel and the liberation of Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the sea to the river, Palestine will live forever. So that is what she wrote. Also, there are some people who feel as though maybe it was not the op ed. Maybe it was the mural, the one that you can see there, that mural, that may have been a problem. I'll get to that in a minute. But maybe it was the mural. Maybe perhaps the mural is the issue. Or maybe it's both. Uh, there, I took care of that. Anyway, let's go on here. Now, I'm going to get back to the article. So, I could not find a video yesterday, but I did see this. I did see this. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are revealing themselves as pro-Israeli. So disappointing. Can't support them anymore. 20,000 children killed. Is free Palestine. Now, that I got from Murad's Twitter. Okay? X, if you will. And then, of course, he shared another thing over here on the left side. So I'm like, well, my goodness. He will not have credibility anymore if he continues to speak up for the Sussexes, right? But if he doesn't, that is going to cut into his pocket. So I'm going to just say, let's see how he proceeds after this. Let's see how he proceeds in the future. Because if he's that bothered by them taking and the apolitical stance that they've taken, then maybe he's no longer a friend. Maybe we should never look to him as anyone who would support them. I don't know. I mean, it's very strong language. It's very strong language. It is not an easy position to be in right now for anybody, let alone two individuals who have so much work ahead of them to secure their future. Not based on what they have now, but where they will be in the future. They have a lot of work ahead of them because they have children that they need to protect. Not just themselves, but they have children that they need to protect. And being discredited by certain elements can make that very difficult. That's just the truth. It can make that very difficult. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is to do nothing. We live in a world of Coke and Pepsi. And unfortunately, there is no gray area. People expect you to make a choice. Politics is very tribal right now. Not to mention, the Sussexes are in the unfortunate position of being in the throes of a culture war. They're in the middle of a culture war. People have gone very deep to the left and deep to the right. And if there's anybody who wants to stay in between, nobody trusts you. Let me see. I'm going to take a look at a couple of your comments here. They seem to be going awfully fast, don't they? Well, I guess no, they're probably not going so fast. It's just so many people are commenting, I'm sure. But let me go back a bit and I'll work my way back down to where the last comments are. Okay, let me just take a look here. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I don't recall. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I may have even taken some references from it. I'm not sure, but I do appreciate your help anyway. Okay, guilty. I think I may have had something to do with that. Uh, yeah, to preserve their foundation is you know, and isn't there a law that says that you I can't recall the law exactly, but I think that even well, let me stop trying to quote something that I'm not 100% sure of. Let me see here. Both. Okay. just like they follow the rules by not use. Yeah, they don't use their HRH, although technically they still are. We don't know all of the ins and out, and nobody has seen the letter from Archwell. No one has seen the letter from Archwell. The one thing that's missing from the conversation is the letter from Archwell. Yeah, I think that what's missing is the letter from Archwell. That is something that has been mentioned quite a few times today. Where is the letter from Archwell? Let me see. White, Hispanic, Arab Americans are blaming Black people for their problems. 92% voted correctly. You get a bail for that. That is true. 92% of us voted the right way. We voted to save the Union. Okay. Yeah. And Mad World, I'm going to assume that that vote is based on what we knew was coming. Whatever we thought about where we were at the time, that monster in the White House had made himself very clear what to expect. What to expect. And he exceeded our expectations by vowing to turn certain parts of Gaza, if not the whole thing, into a resort. He claimed he wants to turn it into a resort. This is the same person who wants to make Canada the 51st state, the same person who wants to take back the Panama Canal, who wants to overthrow Greenland. I even heard that they were prepared to offer $10,000 per person for the privilege. Why people would want to go back to that chaos, I cannot, I can't even think. I can't even think of why people would want to go back to that chaos, but yet here we are. Every day is a new um, drama, more turmoil. Let's see. They were anti-black, and as soon as it was over, they not only laughed about Kamala, but they had the nerve to take a demanding tone. Well, one of those voices for sure that I heard on the social media, that calls that that pretends that they are a squatty. That person seems to want um, that they can't wait for the decline of the United States. I'll put it to you like that. That particular person seemed to be so keen about the decline of the United States. Yeah. It was okay, let me tell you how bad it was. That particular group was on from the wee hours of the morning. I'm going to say they were probably on for about 8 hours. And then it splintered into another group that seemed to, want to air their feelings about the first group. This is why I say Twitter is a dangerous place. People say, "Oh, those Twitter streets are not real." They're real enough. They are real enough. Um, well, that this has been something that's been going on for 75 years, 80 years. Um, and now we want two people that are trying to build their family, two civilians at that, um, royals, yet civilians. We want them to solve all the problems. And it's as I said yesterday, whatever the big corporation is, that is the one that is vilified, and everybody looks to them to straighten out what's wrong with the industry, right? So it used to be everybody went after Walmart, but for obvious reasons, Target is the big target. And of course, when it comes to other things, like look at Hawaii, all those billionaires on the island, who was singled out? Oprah. She don't even have the most money. She ain't nowhere near the rest of those people, but she had the highest profile. So let's go after Oprah. And so in this instance, who has the highest profile? Harry and Meghan. I'm sure there's a lot of people that pull their support away from that group, but only one you're going to hear about. Only one organization, charity, you're going to hear about, and that is Archwell because of Harry and Meghan. And of course, it was obvious that the charity decided to feature the Sussexes compared to anyone else. Why? I don't know. Vengeance, coercion. I have no idea. I don't know what the motivation was for that, but I'm pretty certain they were singled out. Let's see. I read the article. It's more anti. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Given her position, she should have been considering how her language or posts could affect people who are supported by the charity she runs and act responsibly. Yeah, yeah. If only one op-ed could solve everybody's problems. If only one op-ed could bring a lasting peace. Yeah, if well, they voted or they just did not come out and vote. In some cases, they just stayed home. I think a lot of the people in Michigan stayed home, and that was to their detriment. It seemed like the right thing to do, right? Just stay home. Don't do anything. Just stay home. That was a big mistake. That was a big mistake, and it only made things worse. They voted for the person who moved, what was it, the embassy or the consulate or whatever to Jerusalem. That's the one they voted for. Yeah, I don't know Because this isn't the first time, is it? I don't know how supportive he was in the first place. I really don't know how supportive he was in the first place, to be honest with you. It never really seemed very organic. And I could say that for some other people. It just did not seem genuine and organic to me. I'll take whatever help I can get when it comes to matters like, the Sussexes, but I never ever can pretend that I don't second guess, if you know what I mean. So even before the whole, like, that problem that he had some time ago when he took some time away from social media, I I kind of felt like I had his number then or before that. And so I wasn't so surprised that there was like some other side of their personality, so to speak. I wasn't surprised by that. Now, what exactly that was, I was just like, okay, that's a little more than a little more what is the word I'm looking for? Provocative? Is that the word? Anyway, it was a little okay, it left one's stomach a bit queasy. Okay. I felt a bit queasy. That's what I'll say. And even though there was that long, drawn out explanation, yeah, whatever. And even after the atonement, yeah, whatever. I still, I don't trust him. I'll just say that I don't. I don't. I do not. I applaud him for the positive things that he said, but it did not seem genuine to me. It never did. It never has, and it never did. It never will. Not for me. It don't. It just doesn't. And I'm gonna I have a gut feeling, and I'm gonna go with that. I stayed with it, and I'm not going to depart from it. I said what I said. I said what I said. I just never felt good about him. Yeah. Well, um, there is a school of thought that as Sussex supporters, I think all of us tend to, um, I guess, kind of lean in when someone is saying what we want to hear, and not okay, which is okay. Let me say that it is okay to lean in when you hear something that sounds right. But I'm a Scorpio, and I don't forget. I'm a Scorpio, and I don't forget. And I know a lot of times you guys get this feeling like, oh, if I make a person a big joke, I'm humanizing that person, and I don't see them for who they really are. Oh, I see them. I see them, but I don't walk around with my fist balled up all day. I can't stay in that fight or flight posture all day. But I don't forget. Trust me when I say this, I don't forget. It could be such like the most minute detail. That is my life experience. like with a coworker, it could be the most minute detail, something that happened when they first started working there 5 years ago. Now, I'm not going to just not talk to that person. If they do better, I'll be nicer. I'll be more open. But I don't forget. I never forget. I still plan to support, even though I don't. Oh, you saying Morat? Even though I don't agree that the Sussexes necessarily support. Is it Israel? I think it's their intent to stay publicly neutral. Yeah, I think they have to. They just have to. That's the only way this works is by them staying publicly neutral. So it's not even a matter of what they want to do, it's what they have to do. Well, I tell you what, if you if you go to the Twitter, it's there. This is an account that was, as you look up there, you see there, joined May 2011, London, United Kingdom. I'm reasonably certain that, based on some of the old posts and the new, that is the proper account. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm reasonably certain that that is the account. Okay, let me see here. Well, I think that if you have built part of um your I guess online success, if you have built that on supporting someone, I think it makes sense to just wait, to wait. Just wait and at least give it a couple of days for there to be a statement as opposed to making a judgment like that. I think it warrants waiting, but and I'm only saying that for someone that has built their channel in part with the Sussexes, that very, you know, snap decision to um, make certain assumptions like that or to take a posture like that, I think that's just way too fast. I think that's just way too fast. I think I would have held off a bit. Okay. Hazel Jones, you said that yesterday, right? The IRS has rules about maintaining a 501c3 status, also grants money, a grant money that is, has to use, has to use for the purpose it was given. Losing 501 status would mean they would not be able to raise funds. Are you saying that the Sussexes wouldn't be able to raise funds, or that particular charity wouldn't be able to raise funds? And even with that, churches are not supposed to be political. For churches to maintain their tax free status, they're not supposed to be political. And yet, we've seen in these past few elections, and maybe even before that, churches have been uh, hyper political. Yeah, they have been hyper political. So um, I don't even know if they would even follow that if it applied. I'm not even sure if that would be enforced nowadays. So okay, I'm gonna just skip and go back to where I left off. We have Coco. Hello, Baron, fellow squatties. Happy and safe holy holiday. Thank you so much. And thank you for 30 months membership. Very appreciated. Oh, Hazel says the Sussexes and that charity without 50C3 status, you can't write off donations. Got it. So another reason why it is best to stay neutral, I'm sure. Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up for us. All right. So British Charity says it initially kept Meghan Markle's $13,000 donation a secret in case she damaged its reputation. Wow, the pendulum swings both ways, doesn't it? When Meghan Markle donated about $13,000 to HIMA, the grassroots organization kept it quiet. However, the charity changed its mind after watching the Duchess discuss racism with Oprah Winfrey. The Duchess donated to the Nottingham charity, which tackles racism and Islamophobia in August. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, Lola Love. Yeah, I kind of thought that meant for both charities then, right? Okay. Now, the Archwell, this is AJ News, AJ Plus News. They say Archwell Foundation said it would stop donating to the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition after it found its founder, that is, Janan Najib, wrote an op-ed demanding ceasefire arms embargo against Israel and the liberation of Palestine. And then over here on the right, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's charity cut funding to the Muslim women's group after its founder called Israel an apartheid state. Okay. And let's just say this though. Um, maybe and probably likely maybe she didn't know that writing an op-ed for a couple of local newspapers would be seen as anything detrimental to the charity. The article was not in the name of the charity, but having just heard that there are articles, I'm assuming that they would say, that this is where she's from. Um, I don't know how problematic that is or how problematic she assumed it would be. All I know is the images that I have seen coming out of Gaza um, is heartbreaking. And I especially around election time, it was very difficult. And now, of course, so much time has gone by. I can't even say it's been pushed off the front page because sadly, it was never really on the front page. We heard versions of the conflict, but to really know the story, you have to go to social media. You have to go to alternative media to even know what the story is. And I've seen like so many things that I question. I'm just like, how could that be possible? Who could be so cruel? You know, all of these things. Um, and Misan Harriman, oh my God, Misan Harriman, he was so upset over the weekend, I think it was, or earlier this week. He's no longer on Twitter, but he posted some things on Instagram, and it was based on a video that had been circulating where someone was unalived in the most gruesome possible way. And I saw the video. I saw the video. I don't shy away from the truth. And as I said, I've seen some horrendous things which made election time very difficult for me. But knowing that a bad situation could only get worse, I had to vote Democrat. I had to. And I am not in any way celebrating, oh, I was right. I was right. I was right. See there, I was right. I'm sorry I was right. I am. I'm sorry I was right. Because me being right about it, and along with so many other people who tried to warn humanity, who tried to warn Latin Americans, right? Or should I say Latino Americans, Hispanic Americans, if you will, who tried to warn Asian Americans, who tried to warn Arab Americans. We tried to warn some everybody. Hey, I know you're angry, but it's only going to be a bad situation that will be made so much worse. And I get the anger. Oh, I wouldn't vote for him for anything in the world. I understand. I understand. But this is something that Black people in this country have had to do longer than anybody else, longer than anybody else. And that is trusting people who have already shown us the worst, have shown us the worst. And yet we find ourselves backed into a corner where we either trust this demon or that devil. Pick or choose your poison. And so 2024, a lot of people had the sobering reality to wake up to that you've had to vote this time the way Black people have had to vote since, we were able to vote. And it's a harsh reality. It is a very harsh reality. Look at all the people losing their jobs. Look at all the people. And did I just hear today that Boeing cannot deliver planes to China? And that Airbus has gotten this big 300 plane contract? Boeing. Boeing. If there's anything that has defined American ingenuity, it has been aircraft, automobiles, telecommunication. And from what I'm to understand, they just laid a bunch of people off. Now, I just saw something earlier. I wasn't even sure it was 100% accurate. I'm gonna have to check that further because I was a little bit suspicious of it. But if that is true, let me just say that if that is true, I wonder how some of those people voted. A lot of people voted against their own interests. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to look for that. But thank you so much for that. How did you send it? Okay. And oh, Joan Garcia says the Archwell Foundation has now released a statement from the Archwell executive director on the issue. It is dated today. Really? Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Huh. And there it is. It says at Archwell Foundation, we show up, do good. Our values are an extension of those of our founders, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Our founders and grant support extend to individuals and organizations of all walks of life with varying political views, cultural beliefs, ideologies, and identifications. We do not discriminate. We believe change comes from building bridges. We welcome all. We do not, however, tolerate any form of hate speech, including hate fueled symbols, language, or imagery. No matter the community it targets, for us, association with the blending of the Star of David with a swastika is possible impossible to accept. Additionally, language that calls for the destruction of others, whether explicitly or implicitly, cross a line. It is not aligned with our values. We are not pro. I'm sorry. We are pro. I'm sorry, you guys. We are pro humanity, pro love, pro peace, pro equality. Out of respect for all of our partners, a responsibility to our donors, and in reflecting the values of our principles, we make adjustments to our future funding accordingly. We remain deeply committed to our work with Muslim led organizations and refugee support programs through the Welcome Project and relief efforts in Gaza. So, that is from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. If you want to see it yourself, please go to the Archwell page. Go to the Archwell website. Go to sussex.com, and that will take you over to the Archwell Foundation, or you could just go directly to the Archwell Foundation. But that is what they say. So it is dated today. Thank you very much, Joan Garcia. Um, so, all right. As I told you, there was the symbol that I thought some people would find offensive. Wait, where is it? This one. And it does blend the Star of David with a swastika. A mural on the wall in Milwaukee was put up by who is the brother of Janan Najib, who blasted Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for withdrawing funds from her charity, which helps Afghan women refugees in the city. So that is the mural that they have, on the wall. And it says, the irony of becoming what you once hated. Okay, that very good, clear message. But the blending of the images together, like they said, whether directly or implicitly, that seemed to be a problem. So that's that's the stance that they've taken. Okay. Now, with that, I personally am not going to withdraw my support for the Sussexes. I am not going to withdraw the support that I have for the people of Palestine. It's not about that. I have been aware of the Palestinian situation for some time, for some time. So nothing that has happened in the past few years has surprised me, not even the worst of it, because the worst has happened before and it continues to happen. So none of that surprised me. As a matter of fact, I was one of the people who tried to inform other people, hey, this is what's going on somewhere in the world. And I believe people looked at me like I was some kind of talking dog. They just, how could something like that be true? And I would say, but it is. But how could something like that be true? Because it is. It is true. And then, of course, people usually say, well, how come someone doesn't do anything about it? And my response is usually, I keep asking the same question. How does this happen in the plain light of day? And it just, but this is why legacy media is in trouble, because nobody trusts them. Nobody trusts the legacy media because and let me just say one more thing. I was also one of the people who said TikTok is not the enemy. TikTok is not the enemy. Didn't I say that? And there's a lot of people who were listening to other people's, you know, oh, but they're after your information and so on and so forth. Well, so is Facebook. They all sell your viewing habits. It is for sale. They so what difference does it make? It's not like China's not a poor country. They're not a poor country. They can make money legitimately. The government can make money legitimately. They don't need to hire a room full of rogues to go after your personal information. That's that other country that does that. So why did I say that? Because a lot of this information that has been made available has come from TikTok. And this whole time, when we've seen people trying to tear down our Duchess with her lifestyle show, with the podcasts, and also with the products, it was TikTok to the rescue. It was TikTok to the rescue. I've had a TikTok for a long time. I was never worried about it. It's called xenophobia. When everything Chinese makes you wince and cringe and afraid, that is given in to the very worst of prejudice. It really is. Well, okay, probably not the worst, but it is given in to prejudice. So I did say a long time ago, it's not the enemy. And even for as flawed as X is, a lot of the truth came out on X. So, yes, there's good reasons why you can say, oh, I hate X. I hate X. But there's also a lot of truth there. Now, yeah, they sit back and allow for misogyny and racism and all those kind of things. Yes, that is a problem too. And it probably was instrumental in, you know, partially instrumental in the turnout of the election, along with other social media, but there's a lot of truth there. So what are you going to do? Throw out the baby with the bathwater? Or just drain the water and love the baby? Just something to think about. And listen, you guys, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to think or how to feel. I tell you guys all the time, there's other content creators out there. Go and frequent those other channels. I should never be the only voice you're listening to. I repeat, I should never be the only voice that you're listening to. But I have my opinions just like everyone else, based on what I hope is sound judgment and experience. The letter and Archwell statement are all over Twitter. See what I mean? See what I mean? It's not always accurate, but God knows it's fast. Okay. It's been a lot of conversation. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to skip tons of stuff to get caught up. So if you said something to me a while ago, I'd probably just skip past it. Let me see here. I'm going to scroll back a bit. Oh, thank you, Church Nelly. Church Nelly has a link for the Archwell statement for your consideration. All right. I want to pin it to the top of the chat. Also, was that a troll I got rid of earlier? I thought I saw a troll earlier. Was that a troll? I read it a couple of times and I'm just like, this don't look right. So I think it was a troll. Something about chickens and hens and stuff. But I think that was a troll. If it wasn't, my apologies, but it just didn't look right. Well, from what I hear, the squad was squatting yesterday. Okay. From what I hear, the squad was all over him like a cheap suit. I didn't read through those comments, but from what I hear, the squad was all over him like a cheap suit. You guys, people people look toward Black women for backbone and for strength. And that's just a fact. And that is why an educated, empowered Black woman frightens some people. And that's a fact. That is a fact. That is the way I see it. That's my opinion. I'm going to say that it is fact because that's how I've seen it my whole life. That I don't know, just makes some people nervous. Maybe it's the ability to see right through BS. Maybe there's an outspokenness. Maybe there's a certain courage, creativity, something. But and a lot of people lean on Black women. They lean on them. What is that they call it? Main character syndrome. They feel so empowered if they can just have a Black woman behind them. But unfortunately, and far too often, they're afraid to have Black women lead. They're afraid of that. And I think that's why the institution seemed to be a bit terrified of Meghan because their best asset was in a nice, neat, tidy bow. Yep, they had Harry, hook, line, and sinker. And then he married that black woman. Then he married that black woman. And Lord have mercy, nothing has been the same since. Nothing has been the same since. So I think some content creators may see a chance to borrow some backbone or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is, but sometime they go on vacation with content creators and show up at the party with content creators. I've seen all kind of stuff like that. uh you know what I'm saying? They they even show up at the party with black women. I've seen all kind of stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, aren't you strong? Aren't you relevant? If you know, you know. I'm not trying to pick a fight or anything like that. I'm not trying to have any back and forth and stuff. I have never done that, but I'm letting down my guard to express a little bit of frustration by some things I've seen. And I've said nothing about it, but don't be so anxious to get someone's approval. We should never be so anxious for approval. When people disapprove, they respect you. Or should I say they'll have more respect? Oh, Olivia Johnson, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you so much for being a member of Royal Sussex. But anyway, I'm going to say this one more time. I should never be the only voice that you're listening to. There are some very well rounded, very qualified, intelligent people out there. You guys know who my favorites are. And even beyond that, there are still more. So don't hesitate to to go and check out some of those other content creators, even if you have to skip a day or two. I mean, because you can't listen to all of us, right? Even if you have to skip a day or two of Royal Sussex, skip through it. You know what the fun parts are. Um, but yeah, it's just very important. Like, okay, I have been a Democrat. I have been as liberal can be, right? But there's even certain things where I have my limitations where I'm just like, I ain't all that liberal. Um, that being said, let me see, where was I going with this? We need conservatives. We don't need their BS, but we need people to keep us grounded, okay? We need that balance. Society calls for that, right? The government that we have is based on checks and balances of power, right? And in our personal lives, we need that. So there are some people that I think they're so reactive but There's been times in my life where I've had to lean on that person who don't ask questions and will just bust somebody in the nose. Haven't you? Now, I'm not really that person. Sometimes I, get worked up like anybody else, but I'm not really that person. But I value the person who don't hesitate and just spring into action. Don't spend a lot of time thinking. So I don't want everybody to agree with everything I think. I'm okay with disagreement. I'm not okay with abusing people, but I'm okay with disagreement. And so there are certain conservative politicians I have a lot of respect for. Would never vote for them, but I have a lot of respect for them. I respect their conviction. And so what I'm trying to say is if you're listening right now and you are troubled by the decision to pull funding from this charity, I'm saying stick around, try to be a little tolerant. Don't be extreme about these things, right? Don't be extreme about these things. At least try not to. Be yourself, but try not to be so extreme about anything. Give people room, give people time. Think about it. Okay, think about it. The Sussexes made a measured decision. The foundation made a measured decision, and they did what they had to do. And if that is what preserves Archwell for even more opportunities to help more people, then that choice had to be made. Yeah. So I'm not really expressing myself in the most artful way, but I hope you understand what I'm saying is, be patient. Try not to judge harshly, right? As I always say about, like just yesterday, what I was talking about, Sophie Wessex. I don't like her. I didn't like the way she was glaring at Meghan. As a matter of fact, um, during that period of time, I was very very angry at her. And okay, so I'm not angry anymore, but I ain't forgot. But still, did I compliment her? I said, "Wow, that's the best she's ever looked." Because I don't hate her. Okay, I don't hate her. That's the best she ever looked. But she best not do that to Meghan again. I'll say that. She best not glare at her like that again, like she got some kind of eye problem. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Joan Lawman, thank you for gifting 5 Royal Sussex memberships. And congratulations in advance to the lucky recipients of those memberships. Kevin Slim says, I wonder if the British media is trying to buy off airline officials to try to find out where Harry and Meghan are vacationing. Well, Kevin, the thing is, we don't even know if they're vacationing. We don't even know if they're vacationing. Um, I don't, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, okay, trying to buy off airline officials, they may actually have flown private. They may be on a staycation or something like that. Or maybe they didn't go anywhere at all. Maybe they're going to church Sunday. But I saw an article, right, that showed Harry and Meghan at the beach. Meghan had that black dress on. I saw another photo where Harry was by the lake or beach or whatever and holding Lilibet, but I didn't see anything that said they were on a vacation. So if you saw that same article, I can't be for certain that they're even on vacation. That may have been a story planted because the other two can't stay away from vacationing. They won't stop vacationing. They've had 3 holidays this year, probably 5 since Christmas. And so my initial thought was, is this a plant? Are they planting this story? And I do keep up with Celibici, right? And I don't even know that Celibici has mentioned anything about the Sussexes on vacation. They may have, but I don't know that they're on vacation. I hope they are. I hope they did get away. But because they got a busy season ahead of them. So I hope so. But I'm just going to say I haven't seen anything that says that the Sussexes are vacationing. So, but thank you so much for your comment. TCC Son says, finally home. Church Nelly, I got a strong drink. Unsubscribe to Morad. There was a reason. He should have done his research. Did you know China is trolling JD for eyeliner and giving the MAGA hell? Thank you, TCC Son, for the super chat. And well, I see that we're a bit like-minded here and there. I don't know if you missed any of it, or I guess maybe you were listening and could not comment, and now you can. But like I said, I had my feelings about that character anyway. And while I have been very neutral and I've never really, said anything, and I'm trying to be very polite now, but I did. Well, listen, if you guys find value in that type of content, stay with it. But I'm just saying, personally, it's not for me. It is not for me. I don't get everything right, but I know there's a certain element. I'm glad that they're saying things favorable for the Sussexes, but I also know that there is a lot of holes in their information that frustrates me a bit, right? So sometimes I listen up until a point and then I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Um, and look, maybe I was that person at one time. Maybe I'm that person now and I just don't know it is. But but I promise you, I am very diligent about trying to get stuff right before I start talking about it. Um, yeah, so there you go. But thank you again for your comment. And let's see, JCD, thank you, Baron. Support for Harry and Meghan forever. Thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for supporting Royal Sussex. And yeah, I listen. I am like another family member to the Sussexes. Not really, but I feel that way sometimes. But I just feel like for some of us, we have adopted them in a non obsessive kind of way, but we have adopted them. And I would say, as closely as we have watched them move throughout all of this, I just kind of feel like we got a good feel for who they are. And, even some things that so initially I'm just like, but from start to finish, I consider everything that they've experienced since they've been together. And whatever deficits or mistakes that are made, they've earned it. They've earned it because of the outrageous scrutiny that they're up under. Up until the point where sometimes I'm afraid for their lives. And other times I'm just like, their mental health. What is going on with their mental health? I mean, they have been through it. They have been through it. And I don't know any woman alive today that has been vetted to the degree that Meghan has. There are people who have run for public office that have not been examined so closely. And all these years, there's no big aha moment. There's no aha moment. Basically, she lived her life as this girl from Southern California who loves life, who likes natural food, luxury products, quality products, quiet luxury at that. And then girl meets boy, boy meets girl. Now she's a princess. Her children are part of that institution. God help them. And so I don't regret my support for a single second ever. I don't. I don't. So and I'm glad to be helpful to anybody else that even feels half the way I do. So thank you again. Let's see. Let's see. Is it Shelley LaFleur? Says Harry and Meghan have to make very complex decisions. In this case, it was the right one. Baron, the one thing I like about you is that you tell the truth. 1000% support for Harry and Meghan. Well, thank you very much. And thank you so much for the super sticker. Well, I do my best. I do my best. I don't do well with compliments, but I do my best. But it always makes me nervous. Excuse me. Let me drink some water. But yeah, I value this community. It's nothing that I thought that I would be doing at this point in my life. But I am, and I try to honor that every day, you know, honor what we have every day. So thank you very much. All right. Here's an example of showing up and doing good, which is why it's, you know, I have told so many people that really don't know much about the Sussexes when I'm trying to explain what they have been up against. I speak about the women at the Hub Kitchen. And that's almost like I'm talking about, almost like I'm talking about Palestine, because it's one of those things where you're not sure if they believe you when you tell them that this is what happened. But I mentioned how the women at the Hub Kitchen were receiving threats because of an article that attempted to associate them with terrorist groups. These are wives, mothers, sisters, daughters, nieces, aunts, and they're cooking for their community. And two of the most heartless people, long-haired Camilla Tominey and whoever that guy was that she used as a reference or whatever, said all these things about the Hub Kitchen and their proximity to a mosque and this and that. And it just really fed on some of the worst racist stereotypes. Some of the worst. And all of a sudden, these ladies are fearing for their lives. These ladies are fearing for their lives. Some of them are in the photo that you see there, because of an article that was written not only to make their lives miserable, but to go after Meghan. Now, the level of threat that Harry is under, I don't know if that transfers to his family, but I know there are threats that were actually intended for the entire family. And through all of what they have experienced thus far, and with all the threats that are out there, Meghan shows up smiling every day. Every day. Meghan smiles every day. Even when she was over there at the firm, she showed up smiling, using her whole body to connect with people. Whatever was going on inside, she shows up smiling. That shows a great deal of strength. Harry, not so much. Harry, you know exactly what he's feeling because he wears it all over his face all the time. But Meghan, attempting to put other people at ease, make other people comfortable, make other people feel as though they can approach her in spite of everything that she's been through. That is incredible. That when you think about it, that is absolutely incredible that she's able to do that. Being available for everyone, approachable. And yet, you have people that haven't even watched the lifestyle show with Love Meghan, haven't even watched it, and they'll say, she's so unrelatable. Really? Haven't even watched it because of the feeding frenzy that's in social media, the feeding frenzy that comes from the tabloid media, the talking points that come from the Royal Rota and the firm. That is what they're responding to. And I'm just glad we can give some kind of pushback. I'm so glad that in our little corner of the world that we can push back against that with receipts if necessary. You can see the caption right there. Someone posted this picture with a caption. It says, I'm Muslim and I don't find anything wrong with that story circulating. They're free to donate to anyone, and they did donate and still to many Muslim charities. And Meghan has worked with many Muslims and has done good things to Muslim women, and no one that I and not no, let's see, no one of that racist family ever did. So that is the caption that came with that photo. So I'm sharing it with you. I didn't want to share the account because derangers. I don't want to send people running off to someone's account like that. Okay, so we're going to change the topic. I'm going to leave it here for just a second. I'll look at a couple more comments and then we're going to change the topics. You know what? Okay. It was a post they had that had dogs here, there, and everywhere. It was for Dog Day, Canine Day, or something like that. And I'm like, wait a damn minute. They don't have a dog. I've never seen them with a dog. Have you ever seen any of them board the helicopter with a dog? I don't think those Cambridges, Waleses, I don't think they have a dog. I don't think they have any pets. I don't think they have any pets. And that's why I was so confused by that, because I saw this dog that seemed to be featured as their pet, but that was not their dog. If they had a dog, we would have seen it by now. And you know why we would have seen it by now? Because look at how many tens of thousands of people who know who Guy was. Look at how many people know Pula and Mamma Mia and all that. So I am just going to say they have no dog. They do not. That's what I'm thinking. The dog that was featured, I think Kate posted it or whoever. I want to say that that was most likely her brother's dog. Also, I am morbidly curious at how much time he spends with that dog. I think it's a bit disgusting and weird. And I think that somebody probably needs to, um, have an intervention, because I just don't think it's natural. But they make it seem like they speak of James Middleton and that dog the way they speak of Charles and Camilla, like it is the greatest love story of the ages, and I find that absolutely repugnant. So yeah, they need to lay off the whole James and his dog thing. Otherwise, people are going to start talking if they ain't already. But I think it's a bit unnatural. It's almost like that dog has been was comes from a past life and has been reincarnated and they met up again or something. I think it's absolutely sick. Do you hear me? Sick. It's sick. It's weird. Icky. Mama Janet, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. But yeah, I don't want to think about I don't want to think about James Middleton and that dog anymore. It just makes my stomach queasy. All right. Let's go to something else here. Now, Megan posted this, I believe it was yesterday. Thank you, Poliva girl. Um, I wasn't aware of that, but it does not surprise me either. Okay, so sending love right back to you all. Thanks for your support and for listening. Now that is so small. What was I thinking? I ain't gonna be able to see that. Let me see if I can make that bigger. What was I thinking? Oh, okay. All right. So listen, love the idea of letting go of some dreams or something we have held onto for so long to open space for new things, and love the idea of asking for advice versus money in context of entrepreneurship and salary raises, etc. Super important conversation and very relatable. Thank you. And someone else says, I loved listening to this episode this afternoon. Thank you so much for this wonderful and inspiring podcast series. Hugs, hugs. Followed by, I really enjoyed the episode and I can relate to the mom work life balance. Keep doing the great work and looking forward to next week's episode. Stay blessed. Followed by, love this episode. It really spoke to me. Hug, hug, congrats. Lastly, I really enjoyed this episode and the conversation. I could relate to Rejma and what she said about focusing intensely on a single goal and feeling crushed when it doesn't work out. It's easy to miss out on life. Yes. So, those are some of the things that our Duchess highlighted from the comments that she has received. And over here on the right, as you can see, when it comes to ranking Apple's business category in these United States, Meghan is number one with her podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. All right. All right. Next. 150 million pounds on security hikes up coronation bill. When I tell you guys, I believe Republic when they say that it costs 500 million pounds or half a billion pounds a year to maintain the monarchy. I believe it. I believe it to be true. I do, because the security bill alone, even without the coronation, the security bill alone is massive, right? And think about it. You've had a state funeral for Queen Elizabeth II. That was 2022. And then you have that respectable period of mourning, followed by the coronation. And that was what, 2023? So those right there were massive amounts of money that was spent. But even without that, they hide the cost of monarchy with security and transportation, I believe, as well. But they conceal the cost of monarchy. Yes, there may be money for the sovereign grant, but does the sovereign grant cover protection and security? Does it pay for the royal protection officers that are maintaining a presence at Camilla's private home when she's not there? And now another property that Charles purchased right next door so that he can give it to one of her children when she's gone? Does it pay for that? Or how about Dumfries House or all the other properties in Scotland? What about all the properties around the English countryside? Kensington Palace, Windsor, Buckingham Palace, you name it. There's some 22 primary residents, not even counting all. And listen, there are properties on properties that are maintained. There are live-in caretakers. They have farms and such. So 500 million pounds a year, I believe it. And it's not just paying for people to watch it and clean it, but the maintenance. They got to maintain those properties. How much does it cost to have a fleet of helicopters that's just going to ferry around a family of dimwits? How much does that cost? So 150 million pounds on security hikes is not unheard of. It is expensive. And what do the British taxpayers get in return? Well, they do charity work. They ain't doing that much charity. Matter of fact, if the government gave that $500 million to the charities, to the local councils, imagine how far that money could go to help people that really need it. And listen, you still have a government to maintain. Aside from Charles, you have a prime minister, cabinet members, the House of Lords, the House of Commons, a Navy, an Army. And yet, some of the pensioners that have worked so hard to build Britain into what it is today are afraid to cut their lights on, cannot pay their heat. I think the government should heavily subsidize the electricity, all of the power in the UK. They should subsidize it because you guys are paying some of the highest prices I've ever seen. It is outrageous. The price for petrol is routinely almost double what we pay in the United States. Almost double. Every time I look at there's a chart that shows the prices people pay. It's almost double for petrol. That is outrageous. And yet, that family maintained the life that they do. And what's sad is that nobody says anything about it. They get a free pass. I wouldn't care if they would just leave Harry and Meghan alone, but they don't, so I do. I'm as shallow as a glass of water, ain't I? But no, I listen, you guys. It does bother me. It does because I let me go back there. My parents, my parents represent everything that's great about this country, everything, because of the hard work that they've done to help build this economy. And every neighbor, every coworker, I feel that same respect for them because individually, we all have helped contribute to this economy, to the strength of this country. And that's why when people try to, um, you know, hate on their own country, that doesn't make sense to me because everything I've ever known is about this country. And I'm not going to hate the United States. I don't love everything that this country has done, but um, I love my parents. I love my family, my friends, and they're part of this country. I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me with some campaign to make me miserable by pointing out how bad everything is. I'm not going to do that. This is home. Home is home. But still, um, I think working class people all over deserve a break. We deserve a break because we are the backbone. So don't forget that. We are the backbone. Okay, that's enough of my soapbox moment. Feeling a little militant, huh? I get that way sometimes. Yes, this is true. This is so true. And I think people need to recognize that the United States is just as much an empire as any other country has been in history. Only one country in the world has 700 military bases. 700. That's more than double, if not triple, any other country. Why do we have 700 military bases? Because this country is an empire. And what does empires do? They conquer and divide. That's what empires do. So I think that the education system in this country has failed us terribly because people just do not know the history of this country as well as they should. But yeah, there's a lot of wrong in this world that has come out of these United States. But I guess I have that in common with Harry. I'm very much an optimist, and just as much as I acknowledge the worst of things, I I have to believe that we can always do better, that we should do better, and we can do better. So, um, but yeah, I've been a lot of places. You guys know that, but I tell you, when I see the skyline of Chicago, I feel very emotional because I'm home. I'm home. I look at the lake, I look at the buildings, I look at the neighborhoods. Sometimes I fly right over my house. I'm like, that's my house right there. Home is home. Wherever you are in this world, home is home. And anybody who hates home, I feel bad for them because obviously they've had a horrible experience. Life hasn't been necessarily easy for me, but home is home. Okay. Oh, Vaughn is here. Where is Vaughn? Oh, I see you there. Hey, Vaughn. Oh, you got a long commute? Okay. Let's move on. So, you guys, I spoke about this the other day. Now, I was a little skeptical because there's always that voice inside of me, no matter who it is, even if it's somebody I don't care for, that little voice inside of me says, how do you know? Yeah, 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 yeah. But how do you know? So a little voice inside of me was like, well, how do we know that there's actually issues between the sisters, right? Yeah, we never see them together. No, we didn't see Pippa going to or from the hospital. The Ministry of Hex, I'm going to share what he said. Now, always a skeptic. I don't know exactly where he gets his information from, but let's enjoy it while we can. Um, let me see here. Wow, Ministry of Hex has been talking his behind off today. Let me see here.
Happy Thursday, and there's been various articles that have sort of commented on the same thing as this, that there's a bit of a divide between Kate and her sister Pippa. Some of the articles are more sensational than others. Let me tell you what could have caused this little bit of a divide. So last week, Pippa was interviewed for a celebrity glossy magazine in the UK. It went digital first. Pippa was asked why she took 2 separate holidays while Kate was having her cancer treatment. And Pippa's answer was very surprising. And the answer was, well, Kate wasn't ill in the traditional sense. So Pippa was trying to justify why she wasn't by her sister's side and was actually outside of the UK, and perhaps didn't think through the words that she used. Not ill in the traditional sense. I mean, if you're having treatment for cancer, you definitely are ill in the traditional sense. If you're not ill in the traditional sense, is it more that you've injured yourself? I don't know. It's all a bit confusing. The digital edition of the copy was changed within about 4 hours, I understand, to a more reasonable answer, let's say. I think that's probably what this article is referring to. The journalists are having a bit of a prod at Kate because they know about Pippa's faux pas, social faux pas. And don't get me wrong, when we're being interviewed about a number of subjects, it's very easy to say the wrong thing and have to correct yourself. Not ill in the traditional sense. I don't know. A bit weird to me. Comments are open. Let me know as ever what you think.
All right. Thank you, Martin of Ministry of Hacks, available on TikTok. Yes, available on TikTok. All right. So Kate Middleton seen leaving alone Kensington Palace. No one knows where Prince William is. He even will skip huge royal Easter service at Windsor Castle in shocking move. Well, now remember, they're supposed to be spending the holiday together, because the family needs to be together. They said they need to spend time as a family. Wonder what that means. If they were going to go on a vacation, I would imagine by the time that this was recorded, this is like a live video that someone took of Kate. And they were even like yelling to Kate, pleasantly yelling to Kate, letting Kate know that they saw her. I don't know if these were tourists. I guess they were tourists. I think there are some neighbors nearby, but I don't think the neighbors would shout like that. So it's kind of hard to know what's at play here. I wasn't even sure anybody was hanging around Kensington Palace because, it was said that they were going to stay for the holiday at Admiral Hall. Again, this was done Friday, I believe. And then, of course, what has happened to Adelaide Cottage? Do they even bother with that anymore? I'm more than certain that William also keeps an apartment at Windsor Castle. Otherwise, the castle would just be empty. And why would you have an empty castle and stay in some little cottage down the street? That doesn't make sense. Unless William stays there and Kate stays at the cottage so that they can divide their time with their children for school runs and stuff like that. There's so many things that are at play, so I don't know. But I wonder if they're even going to be together this weekend. I really do wonder that. Will Kate just be with her family? Did she just go back to Kensington Palace to grab her toothbrush? It's kind of hard to say. Joan Garcia says Target CEO met Al Sharpton. Yeah, I think we mentioned that yesterday, actually, that they were going to meet. So they have met. Oh, cool. Well, I'm going to have to look for the news that comes out from that. Thank you very much for the update. Let me see here. Now, Kaiser from Celebici says something major is happening or has already happened. And it says a lot that the Keens are even bothering to keep up appearances for. Did that get cut off? Oh my God, did that get cut off? Oh well. And so someone, replied to Kaiser with, or could it be that the Wells simply don't give an F anymore? They vacate constantly. The heir doesn't care if he's seen more at football than at work. Kate just releases pointless, low effort videos. They rarely show up for anything. It's what is that? It peaks half-assery. Or should it be it speaks half? Oh, well, I think it should be speak, right? Okay, and then Kaiser responds, this is true, but they still feel like a pretty, I'm sorry, it still feels like a pretty big deal that they're making a point of skipping Easter. Now, let's get back to Easter. I said last year, I thought it was strange that William didn't take the kids to Easter. I thought it would make sense. Take the kids to Easter, reassure the nation that the continuity of monarchy is alive and kicking, right? Everything is as it ought to be, given the circumstances. But he didn't go. The kids didn't go. Just no show for Easter. The kids did not make an appearance together until Trooping the Colors last year. So from Christmas to what was it, June? We did not see Louis or Charlotte. Archie, we saw at a couple of football games, but that's it. No Louis, no Charlotte. They were absent as long as their mother. Okay? They were absent as long. Now, let's fast forward to 2025. At first, they were building up the excitement that they would be seen for Easter, only for them yesterday to break the news that in all likelihood, they're not going to be there. They're just not. They've already said they're not. I think it's because of this. I think there is still a feud going on with these two. And Martin had something to say about that. And you know what, guys? For some reason, I think that there's a great deal of credibility. Now, Martin says, and I'm just going by Martin's word, that he has some inside information. And let me see, do I trust Martin more than I trust the tabloids when they say sources, someone close to? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. One of the public indications of a feud, I think, had to do with Coronation Day. I keep saying this over and over again, but I think it is very central to the point because Camilla wanted to be the pretty girl. She wanted to be the one decked out in jewels. No competition for her and no competition for Charles. William should have been wearing some type of little crown for the coronation. The lords and ladies should have all had their tiaras and crowns and such. But they didn't. Well, not crown, but a coronet. I know it's the same word, but it's used differently. But they didn't because Charles did not want to have a completely traditional coronation. He was supposed to put rings and gloves and this and that on, and all he did was touch him because he didn't think he could get him over those little fat, puffy hands of his. And then Kate shows up with a tiara anyway. To the untrained eye, anybody would have thought that that was a diamond tiara. But instead, they say it was what, $40,000 worth of crystal? Quite elaborate for one day. Where else do you wear it? Because after Camilla's gone, you're going to have free reign of all of the best pieces. As a matter of fact, all of the pieces. But they don't get on with each other. They do not. And it's been that way for a while. But I think in increments, things have gotten progressively worse. I spoke some time ago about the blue dresses, the blue dress gate. I mean, check it out. Queen Camilla and Kate Middleton battle over blue dresses. And what Staffers is saying now, there's reportedly been at Battle Brewing, supposedly been at Battle, shouldn't it be a Battle Brewing, about when some royal ladies like the Princess of Wales can and can't wear a certain color. Now, Queen Camilla, dressmaker, is implementing a change. And what is that change? You can no longer wear blue when Camilla is present. You are prohibited from wearing blue. That seems to be Camilla's favorite color. It also seems to be one of two go-to colors for Kate. Kate loves her maroon and burgundies, and she loves her very vivid royal blue. It's just that one particular shade of blue that she wears over and over again, especially for a formal occasion. And trust me when I say that is just one of the issues that they have. But it has been alleged, well, let me get to it. They exposed what was already there, and they are trying to blame Meghan for their being exposed. Reverend Al Sharpton said that about the royal family. And that, of course, is the age old sin of racism. Camilla exposed as royal racist. Some people allege that Camilla is the one who orchestrated the whole Kate asked about the baby's color. I don't think most of us saw that coming. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure a lot of us thought the whole family was pretty whack. But I think that a lot of the misfortune that Kate has been experiencing has been because of the high level of control that Camilla has with the press. I mean, she practically nurtured them into what they are today in their coverage of the royal family. She's given them all types of, heads up and guess who and guess what's. And of course, that whole thing with Jeremy Clarkson, if that's any indication of her resolve, I would say that she has been quite the troublemaker. Anna Boyd, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for being here tonight. Royal Rift, Camilla didn't want William to marry Pretty, but damn Kate Middleton and urged Prince Charles to keep her split, to help her split them up. Royal author claims. Now, this was in The Sun, and one of the royal authors wrote that article. This was in The Sun, no less. I forget how old that article is, but this was in The Sun, talking about the Immaculate Heart of Kate. I think that those two have been feuding for a long time. Now, you can see here, Camilla had to wear white under the garter-robe. And so Kate used that as an excuse to wear what? That very royal blue color right in Camilla's face. I think that there has been a bit of rivalry, one-upmanship. But if you had to ask me who the winner was, I'm going to say it was probably Camilla. Camilla has been throwing her weight around a lot. And like I said, she has a very close relationship with the press, much closer than Kate ever has. Now, enters Martin. Kate Middleton, Prince William, and kids to skip royal Easter outing again in surprise move. Martin had something to say about it. Okay.
So this is
Morning, friends. Happy Friday. The pantomime continues, and actually, the truth about this leads back to Camilla, so stay tuned. Kate and William will skip the Easter Sunday service to spend more time as a family. Hold on a minute. They've just been on a massive taxpayer-funded skiing holiday to spend time together as a family, and William, for a lot of that time, was actually on his own, on his phone. Very weird. If they went to church, they would be all together as a family, so the excuse doesn't make sense. Where's it really coming from? I'm pretty well connected in the media. You probably already know that. The rumors are, and there's some evidence about this as well from phone logs, that Camilla is the person that tipped off the European press that Kate and William were skiing. Their exact location was also given. The press was able to find them, take the shots, which we've all now seen. Camilla did this to prove how lazy this pair is. And because Camilla's basically grassed them up to the world's international media, they are now on strike. They are now a big FU to Charles and Camilla. Do the service on your own. Honestly, these two, I mean, the comments, there was 1,000 comments on this article. I would say, without any detailed mathematical calculation, 80% of them are just calling Wills and Kate out for being untruthful, lazy scroungers. And on that note, comments are open as ever. Just let me know what you think.
Wow, another zinger. You know, I'm always skeptical, but it does kind of make sense. It does kind of make sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, absent the truth, what else is possible? That they're feuding, that there is anger between both parties, mostly between Camilla and Kitty. That is a big deal that they're missing Easter. But then again, I guess I should get used to saying that that doesn't look right, that they're missing Easter. That doesn't look right that they didn't go to the BAFTAs. That doesn't look right that they didn't this or didn't that. There's so many things that I've been saying. That is strange. I wonder how come they didn't go. It seemed like there's a feud. And it's like I was saying, when the president of Korea came to the UK and Kate emerged from the state Bentley wearing, you know, that mini skirt and the big cape and everything, I thought that was horrible and very disrespectful. Disrespectful to Charles and Camilla, disrespectful to the president and his wife. Very disrespectful. And it seems like Kate has been as far away from Camilla as possible ever since. And remember during the whole Charles has cancer, Kate has cancer, what happened to that close father-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship? They went on and on and on about how close Kate and Charles were. They even lied and said they had lunch together one day. That was one day, if it had happened at all. These staggering amount of time that both couples, father and son, stepdaughter-in-law and stepmother-in-law, the amount of time that they're not together is breathtaking. I don't even know how often William sees his father. I can't imagine as much because there's no coverage of it. None. And you would think that there would be some. It seemed like Charles and his mother were together all the time. And he was about sick of her. So how does William escape his father? His father would have ordered them to come for Easter. He doesn't just ask, "Oh, are you coming by?" It don't work like that. He's a sovereign. Just like William used to dress up in all of those stupid garter robes and everything, William hated that. You could tell from the look on his face. He hates wearing those costumes, but he did it for his grandma. It is unusual that a Prince of Wales just says, I'm not going. That is unusual. That never would have happened. Well, let me take that back because he did that to the Queen one year and went skiing. He did. So I can't say that wouldn't have happened with Elizabeth because it did. William is an equal opportunity offender when it comes to where he will and will not show up. So, okay. I just corrected myself. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? I mean, they have been so busy plotting and scheming against Harry and Meghan, you almost miss the void that's between them and the rest of the family. I find it curious and interesting. I really do. I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't go to church last year without Kate. But now they're not church people. They're just not church people. But as I will quote so many people in these interesting situations, one down, one to go. I think that's the only thing that keeps Kate going is the fact that she knows that there's one down and just one more to go. And then she will have the keys to the kingdom. She will have access to all of the jewels. Yep, she will. Her mama will. Uncle Gary will. I wonder if they got any buyers lined up. Huh? I wonder if they bought one of those little pots where you can melt down precious metals. What do they call that? A smelt or whatever? Wonder if they got a little smelt where they can start melting that stuff down, sending out those little bars and bags of stones. I'm wondering, where is Princess Anne? I was just thinking to myself, where is Princess Anne? And how come she's doing so much stuff without Timothy? What is his name? Timothy Lawrence? Why is she out so many times without her husband? You rarely see her together with her husband as you would have in the past. This family has splintered something terrible, and I couldn't be more pleased. Prince William could break royal tradition dating back to Henry VIII when he becomes king. His father is very spiritual and happy to talk about faith, but the prince that is not. Robert Hardman quotes a senior palace figure as saying about the difference in William and Charles' attitude around religion. Well, William may give up his role as supreme governor of the Church of England. Now, I don't know if it's possible to just say, hey, I don't want it or I'm not in it or whatever. I think that just comes with the position, that comes with the role. And I don't think there's much you can do about it. But don't expect to see William at too many events involving his position as head of the church, if any, because I don't think he will. And then let's couple that with Prince William hires Princess Diana's lawyers in surprising break from King Charles. What is going on? This is what Kaiser was talking about. What is going on? Did we just get distracted in 2024? And then of course that royal divorce that we were promised last year, is that coming anytime soon? Will William become the first out loud and proud sovereign? Huh? Will he be the first out loud and proud sovereign? I'd pay money to see that. Yeah. Is he going to put together a rainbow coalition? Oh, you know, if he doesn't divorce her now, I don't think he's allowed to when he becomes king. You know, it's the same dilemma as with Diana, and I'm so sorry to say this, but there can only be one Princess of Wales. There could only be one. And it wasn't even certain that Charles could have remarried if Diana was still alive. So, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? We don't know exactly what happened to Diana. It has been very ambiguous, very vague, but she died mysteriously in that tunnel in Paris. That's the only thing I can say. Because the rest of it, there's so many blurred lines. How do we know? So I say you can't turn your back on those people. Never underestimate them. Oh, I don't need that. This is the what is it? The Prime Minister of Italy. Notice how she is literally squirming in her seat, trying to somehow compose herself while she's downwind from Donald Trump. He seems to have that effect on decent people. Now, she is ultra right wing, they say. I don't know what that entails. I'm not going to just instantly not like her because of that. But, and also notice that she is wearing the official color of the women's suffragettes, women rights movement, white from head to toe. Yes, she's not even in the right season, but she's wearing white. So, oh, that maybe that's just an American tradition. No white between Memorial Day and Labor Day. I mean, unless it's Memorial Day to Labor Day. But yeah, so that was her reaction to being in Donald Trump's presence. I don't know what the conversation was. Also, look behind her. Do you guys see all that gold flanking the fireplace? You all know that that was not there before Donald Trump. There's all kind of gold accents in the Oval Office right now, and I don't know if I like it. It's quite over the top. I can see where they're trying to get this very classic look going with the space, but uh, is that what we really want? I think the White House should be very minimal, not so over the top and garish. And it's starting to turn into Mar-a-Lago. They are slowly turning the White House into Mar-a-Lago. And I don't think I like it. And there's a whole lot of other gold around the room that I saw, but I'm just going to limit it to what we see in this image here. Tacky. Calling all tackies. If you're tacky and you know it, clap your hands. Yeah, I think it's a bit tacky. And also, those reliefs that are gold spray painted, probably, you can buy those, I think, at the Hobby Lobby or the hardware store somewhere, that exact pattern. I've already seen someone make a TikTok video about it. You can buy that exact pattern and it doesn't cost that much. And I'm saying to myself, surely they didn't just spray paint that, but maybe they did. Maybe they have a space where they spray painted it and put it up, and now Trump can feel like he's at the what do you call it, the Trump Tower or the Mar-a-Lago. How strange. I don't even think it's real. Oh, interesting photo. Let me see. Am I almost done? Oh, I still got a little bit to go. Stay with me, you guys. King greeted by boos from protesters at Maundy Thursday service, courtesy of Graham Smith. And there's Graham Smith, who is, who is trolling Charles III and his concubine. And notice how close that camera is to the, the frame. The camera is the way it's so close. They don't want you to see all those yellow signs. Harry requested certain protection after Al-Qaeda threats, court documents. The Duke of Sussex requested specific security protection after threats was made against him by Al-Qaeda, according to court documents. Apparently, there has been direct threats made, and so maybe that was part of the reason why Harry does not want to just let this go, right? But as they said, there was going to be a lot of information that comes out in court. Anyway, I got a little sound for you, so let me play that. Oh, there we go. That's my sound.
I find it really sad that the man born into privilege now finds himself pleading for protection. It's an extraordinary paradox. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is not just a celebrity or a tabloid fixture. He's a man under threat, literal, specific threat from terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, a metaphorical threat from the right-wing media machinery, which seems pathologically determined to see him destroyed. This isn't just a story of royal estrangement, it's about the politicization of security and the press's hostility to anyone who disrupts the status quo, and indeed the Home Office's hostility. We need to begin with a few bare facts. Since stepping down from royal duties in 2020, Harry's security, previously guaranteed by the state, was withdrawn. It was a move that on paper made bureaucratic sense. No royal duties, no royal security. But Harry offered to pay, and that was turned down as well. Life, and particularly a life as uniquely high risk as Harry's, doesn't conform neatly to policy memos. After all, his military service in Afghanistan and his very public profile has made him a symbolic enemy for jihadist groups. Indeed, we now know from court documents that Al-Qaeda specifically called for his assassination. Yet when he sought to reinstate taxpayer-funded protection or even pay for state-trained police protection privately, the government said no. And this is where the story turns ugly. The case was not treated as a serious security concern, but as a cultural war skirmish. Rather than empathy, the British media offered derision, particularly the right-wing outlets like the Mail, the Telegraph, the Spectator, who spun this as entitlement. Oh, and GB News, if we want to dignify that with the same link. They lambast him for being too royal when he wants protection, but not royal enough when he doesn't. He is simultaneously dismissed as self-pitying and attacked as dangerously outspoken. In truth, their grievance isn't really with Harry, it's with his refusal to play the silent, subservient role the media expects of its royals. What's more, the mechanisms used to deny him protection are deeply flawed. The so-called bespoke risk assessment applied to him, unlike any other public figure, is described by his legal team as inadequate, inappropriate, and ineffective. Unlike others, Harry must give 30 days' notice to travel to his own homeland, each request evaluated individually, as if risk evaporates between flights. This is not policy, it's performance, and it's cruelty. Why this vendetta? In part, it's because Harry broke the unwritten rules. He married a biracial American woman with opinions. He criticized the media. He aired family grievances in public. In doing so, he punctured a centuries-old illusion of stoicism and racial purity in the monarchy. For some, this is unforgivable. The press vendetta is not merely about security, but about sovereignty, about who controls the narrative, who defines what it means to be royal, and who gets to walk corridors of power without being punished. And in case we think this is only Harry's problem, consider the larger context. If a prince, one with direct threats on his life, can be denied protection and smeared for asking, what message does this send to others more vulnerable, less prominent, more easily ignored? The hostility towards Harry echoes the same poison that drives online abuse, that derides migrants, that dismisses the concerns of women, that dismisses the concerns of people of colour, that dismisses anyone who speaks out of turn. Let's not forget the human cost. This is a father of two whose wish is not to grandstand but to visit the country of his birth without fearing for his family's lives. It's astonishing that Britain would rather humiliate Harry than protect him. In doing so, the state and the sections of the press appear more committed to vengeance than justice. The Home Office appears more intent on its own dignity than its own duty. Ultimately, the treatment of Prince Harry is not about family feuds or national pageantry. It's about how we treat those who dissent, who demand safety on their own terms, and who refuse to be bullied into silence by the great powers of state. That, more than any headline, should concern us all.
All right. All right. That was Professor Tim Wilson. And, well, he was feeling it today. He said what he said. Harry has been treated badly by the Home Office. And of course, one could argue it's really up to Charles, but it does not mean that those individuals at the Home Office should not act independent of the monarch, because the thing is, it's a bad look for the entire country. It looks very, very bad. Charles comes across as absolutely cruel and vindictive. We don't hear much by way of protests because, after all, it has to do with the royal family, and Harry would be the first to acknowledge his privilege. And so there may be a lot of people that are on his side, but we're just not going to hear from them. They don't really allow much by way of word on the street because they want those words to fit a particular narrative that is what they want to stick to. They don't want a free range of thoughts and opinions. So that is unfortunate, but I tend to believe that there's more people on Harry's side than not. I believe that there are more people that like Meghan than not. And it's just hard to get to that because everything has to filter through the tabloid media. And that's just not easy. They're even protecting the royal family. They are protecting Charles and William from themselves. They really are. They are protecting their own bottom line, and they are protecting those two riffraff. And I hate that they're using that trip to Afghanistan. They're using, not Afghanistan, I'm so sorry, to Ukraine. They're using that against Harry. Like, oh, you can go here, but you don't want to. Well, let's face it. There was a group of armed people that were there to see to Harry's safety. Harry just needed to know that he could trust that there would be an element of surprise, and there seemed to be. From what I hear, the Polish military or whoever was able to see Harry to the border, and then from the border, it was off to Lviv, and he was safe. There was no Al-Qaeda infiltrators that were waiting around for years just in case Harry just happened to show up in Ukraine. And even if it were something like that available, they didn't know that Harry was there until he left, because the people that he interacted with they kept it secret. Anybody within that group could have leaked that information, but they certainly did not. And why is that? Because there are more people that love the Sussexes than there are people that hate them. We have been, was it gaslighted, or whatever? We have been, what do you call it? Brainwashed into believing all these terrible things that just are not true. They're just not true. They need to believe it to justify the continued abusive language. They need to believe, they need to make other people believe that they're actually out for the truth and not just out for blood for the sake of it, as though their profession is not a blood sport but some noble endeavor that they've taken to try to help humanity, when the truth is it's all for profit. It's for hate and it's for profit. The schoolyard bullies have grown up and they've found a position on Fleet Street. God, I'm starting to sound like the professor. I'm starting to sound like the professor. Let me get out of here before I start wearing bow ties. Durham University should not be facilitating a billionaire playing the role of Jesus in a local reenactment pageant. In other words, hosting Charles for that Monday Day event and then having all of this celebration about it is just not appropriate at this time. There are people hungry. There's people who can't buy eggs. You know where I got that from all the people talking about the, what is that rocket with the women? Yeah, I was actually, doing a little cosplay of them. But anyway, so yes, this is not a good look. But there were people there, and to be fair, there were people there to greet Charles and Godzilla. It's just that half of them had yellow placards with black letters that says "Down with the Crown." What was the other one? Oh gosh, what was it? Let me see. "Down with the Crown." Anyway, there's a couple more of them. "Down with the Crown," and something feet. I don't know. Oh well. Something the Duchy. Ditch the Duchies, "Down with the Crown," and "Not My King." That's the three of them. I see you had it too. Thank you so much. Shout out to people who haven't felt okay lately, but still get up every day and refuse to quit. I'm proud of you. And so am I. So for all of you who make it work, even though your heart's not in it, for all of you who have jumped up early, jumped up late, had to fight with the alarm clock, had to fight with fatigue, exhaustion, whatever the case may be, whatever you were feeling, you got up and you made a difference. You made it work. So for that, we are all very proud of you. So that will be it for Royal Sussex for today. Thank you very much. And thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. And who else? Oh my God, has it been almost 3 hours? I thought I was going to look at that and see that it's been about 2 hours. It's been almost 3 flipping hours. Sorry for the language. My goodness, where did the time go? Whew. Oh well. So much we'll probably be here in only an hour. Well, you guys, we've had a lot to think about, and I am going to continue to support Harry and Meghan and I am proud to support them, and I am proud to have whatever support you have provided to Royal Sussex, whether it's a like, share, whether it's financial support, the official Royal Sussex gift list, which is always fun, or perhaps that beautiful soul who sent me a jar of raspberry preserve inside of that wonderful gift box. I still cannot believe it. I just keep looking at it. I'm like, is this really here? But thank you for that. And yes, so that's it. Oh, thank you, Cookies and Cream. Everyone, please keep praying, replaying, that is Meghan's podcast. Also give a good rating if possible. Hear, hear. Okay. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. I will see y'all